Words are about to be spoken on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, presented to you by the Ad Free Shows Podcast Heat and Wrestling According to Alba Networks. I'm John Alba. That's the broken one, the welcome one, the spoken one himself, Mr. Matt Hardy, coming to us via satellite on location in Sin City.
In Sin City, in the dressing room.
In the dressing room.
Yes, I am here extremely early today. Myself and brother and we never come to work this early. Usually we're the last people to show up because we're the last people to leave typically. But today we had a very special occasion. We had a very special breakfast benefit this morning. It was called Chris Bay All Day, where we raised money for him. And once again, his constant recovery and rehabilitation, everything else he's doing. And it turned out real great. And it was the first time myself and Jeff had seen Chris in person since his injury. So it was very amazing to see him. It was so great to catch up and be around him. Like, this guy is a motivational guy. He is someone that is so positive and so optimistic, and I admire him so much. I am so inspired whenever I'm around him, and I'm just so happy to see him. I'm so happy to see him on his feet, walking, doing his own thing. He's way ahead of where anyone predicted or expected he could be, and he was doing great. So it was real great to spend some time with him today. And Jeff and I interacted with a whole bunch of great TNA fans today for about an hour or so. A lot of fun. We had a real live chat, and I'm sure some of you out there that are those die-hardy Extreme Life of Matt Hardy viewers that are watching at 6 a.m., I'm sure some of you guys caught it live. So a lot of fun. We had a really good time today.
Coach Rosie was there. It's a great breakfast this morning. He was there.
Yes. There we go. Oh, there he is. I told him we were just getting ready to shoot. Perfect. Coach Rosie was there today. I got to see him, got to have a little hug, talk to him. And Coach Rosie is going to be working the Hardy Party tomorrow night with myself and Jeff. He's going to be helping us out with that. Hell, I don't know. He might end up doing security over at Fourth Rope when it's all said and done, since we got to do that. It's going to be an insane day. Today is already insane. Tomorrow we have not one, not two, not three, but 4 bookings throughout the course of the day.
So oh, my goodness.
Insanity.
Goodness, the Hardys are a hot commodity in Sin City. How about that? Rajiv watching via WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com saying V1.
Just for you, Rajiv. V1.
There you go. Hey, listen, folks, if you're listening to the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, or you're watching the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy on Matt's YouTube page, I want you to go over to Matt's YouTube page, Matt Hardy Brand. I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit like. I want you to leave us a comment, because right now YouTube's like, hey, Matt Hardy, he's given him the proverbial middle finger. So we want to make sure that we are ensuring that the podcast gets seen by all of you out there. So head on over and subscribe, Matt Hardy Brand, if you are not doing so already. Glad you're out there, man. It's WrestleMania week. Regardless of whether or not WrestleMania delivers, I do feel like everyone enjoys the festivities that come throughout the week. And we've seen so much of it already. GCW holding a show. You got Joey Janela Spring Break. You got TNA running all these shows, which is very cool. You just mentioned the individual meet and greets, the indie promotions. It's a celebration. What do you think about what WrestleMania week has kind of turned into for the industry?
I mean, it really is. I feel like the pro wrestling in general, the entire industry, WrestleMania week is like a celebration of the industry in many ways. Everyone converges to the home city of WrestleMania this year. Obviously, it's in Las Vegas, Sin City. And, the indies are out here. TNA is out here, especially because we're doing this partnership, working in conjunction with WWE. We're doing this on Thursday night. It's going to be live tonight, right after Impact. It's going to be very, very cool tonight. Myself and Jeff, we are teaming with Mike Santana to take on the Nemeths and Ali. And it is the first chance we are getting to get our hands on those traitorous Nemeth brothers. So we are very much looking forward to that. But, Fourth Rope is out here. We're doing that at midnight tomorrow night, which is going to be wild. We're having a Hardy Party out here. Jeff and I, we're going back to WWE land. We are doing some content for WWE this week. A lot of cool stuff's going on. And WrestleCon is coming on. We're Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can catch us from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can come out and meet, greet, and delete with the Hardys.
Love to hear it. You talked about Mike Santana, by the way. He's celebrating a year in TNA this week. I've got a feature coming out. I think it's going to be Monday morning as you listen to this. That is probably the most emotional and impactful human interest story I've written in a long time, especially in the wrestling realm. It's about Mike Santana. And I got a chance to talk to him a couple weeks ago, and we spoke for almost an hour, and he really opened up about a lot of the adversity that he's overcome throughout his life, addiction, alcoholism, and being able to be there as a present father and reinvigorate his career as well. It's an amazing story that I'm really excited to share with you guys. He celebrates a year in TNA. You've had a chance to work with him a little bit now, especially in AEW. Worked with him too when he was with PMP. What do you think about Mike Santana?
I'm a big fan of his, and I really appreciate his journey to sobriety. I appreciate how hard he works to be a good father. I think that's a bond we share. Really loving our kids, putting them first and foremost where they're more important than us. He's been great to work with, and we actually debuted the same week. I am actually celebrating my year return to TNA as well, because I actually showed up and dropped Moose at Rebellion last year on April the 20th. So whenever this episode airs this week, it's also my 1-year anniversary of returning to TNA, which is crazy because time has flown. It does not seem like it's been a year, but it has.
Yeah, you freaking pulled a fast one on me and didn't tell me when you were going to TNA. I had legitimately no idea. I was like, "Oh, you knew about this?" I'm like, "Bro, I had no clue at all. You kayfabe me big time."
Well, nobody knew. Jeff, what did your wife tell you?
Did you know Matt was going to TNA?
we got Brother Nero here.
Yeah.
Can we get Brother Nero to say hey to the Extreme Life faithful real quick?
Sure. Maybe he'll pop in and say hi real quick. Yeah.
Yes. Hello. Hey.
Brother Nero. We knew you'd come.
Yes, I'm here. Much love.
Yeah, he did. It's so funny because he kept saying his wife told him, said, "Hey, did you know Matt was going to TNA?" He said, "What?"
Love that.
Because John always gives me a hard time. He says, "You didn't even smart me up. You didn't let me know." I said, "Brother, old school kayfabe, brother."
Well, that's great. Good to see you, Brother Nero. Hope everything's going well with you. And I know the Extreme Life faithful will be very happy to see Brother Nero as well, who's also, by the way, crushing it right now in TNA alongside Matt, as the Hardys will not die. At least that's what the sheets say.
That's true. That's true. We refuse to be unalived.
It's true. Now, this week is a celebration of wrestling, and we're going to make our WrestleMania 41 predictions on this episode of the podcast. But I got to tell you, man, we like to hit on everything that's going on around the wrestling sphere. And it's going to be really hard for a lot of these shows to match the quality of an episode of AEW Dynamite that AEW put on this past week, where they surpassed Monday Nitro as the longest consecutive running wrestling show on TBS or TNT. It was a pretty big accomplishment. They were celebrating it. Will Ospreay and Takeshita had this unbelievable match. Mercedes and Athena had a fantastic match. Big time segment for the Hurt Syndicate with MJF. And then the Ops defeating the Death Riders. They're the first people to really knock off the Death Riders. They win the Trios title in this fantastic, intimate environment in Boston. I know you didn't get a chance to see the whole show because you've been rocking and rolling, traveling and everything, but I'm sure you've read some of the hype and seen some of the clips. Man, that's the type of momentum, if you're AEW, you got to think you're looking for, right?
Yeah, and once again, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to AEW and Tony Khan on breaking that record. That's a big deal. It's a great landmark episode that they reached that. So congrats and kudos to those guys. And you'd send me, John, you just sent me the video earlier just to watch the finish of the match, and I was able to catch it following the breakfast. And I thought that was a great moment. I thought the way that was done, the enthusiasm behind the crowd. I love the fact that the Young Bucks were coming down and Swerve was there to intercept him. He got a little payback on those guys for screwing him out of the match with Moxley. And then the fact that John Moxley, who was substituting for Pac, he's the one that ended up taking the finish, courtesy of Samoa Joe, and got choked out. I thought that was a great way to do it. They dropped the 6-man trios titles. I thought it was a great piece of business. The babyfaces came to the ring to celebrate with these guys. I thought it was a great way to end off that episode. I obviously haven't seen the rest of the episode, but that was a tremendous ending to Dynamite. Kudos to AEW for that finish.
They beat Nitro, so they had to pay homage to Nitro by having a Nitro finish where all the baby faces come down to celebrate as the other baby face becomes champion. It's like when Luger won. They had all the baby faces file down. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing, man. Surpassing Nitro, not an easy feat. Even Eazy-E gave them some kudos too for that, and I think that's a pretty cool thing for the wrestling industry to get there. I actually did an interview with Tony Khan about that, which you can check out over on the Takedown on SI if you'd like to hear more about what Tony had to say about that happening. But yeah, man, that was one of the big stories to come out of AEW this week. And one of the other big stories to come out of AEW this week, a lot of rumors, man. I mean, Josh Alexander debut. Actually, let me ask you about that. You had a chance to work with Josh Alexander in TNA. He officially debuted in AEW. I know you're a big fan of his. What do you think about him going over there and seemingly aligning in the Don Callis sphere and where things could be going for him?
Yeah, I was very happy for Josh Alexander to get that opportunity to go to AEW. I got to work with him. I got to know him a little bit. I'd never met him. I'd never been around him previously. So being able to get to know him a little bit, and his wife and his kids actually, like my kids, we were all at Winston-Salem one time, and our kids were all playing together and going nuts for the whole show. But it was very cool that he did debut at AEW. I know he lost on his initial outing, and I haven't seen it. I heard it was a great match, and you said it was a great match, and he still looks strong in losing. So I really can't judge on how that was all handled because I haven't seen it or I haven't had a chance to review any of that besides that one clip you sent me. But I am very happy for him on a personal level and a professional level, and I'm glad he's getting the opportunity to be on a bigger platform on AEW, and I'm glad he's getting the opportunity to make money as well.
Well, what I really want to lead to was this has been the talk of the internet this week. A lot of reports indicating that Mariah May's time in AEW could be up. She had this long year-plus program with Tony Storm. I think we've covered that in depth. You were a big fan of it. I was a big fan of it. And a lot of people seem to think she could be on her way to WWE. How do you feel about that? I mean, she was under contract, came in around fall of 2023, could already be headed on her way to WWE. We know she grew up a big WWE fan. Clearly, Matt, someone who a lot of people think could bring a lot of equity wherever she goes, and with how she was treated on AEW TV, I certainly think the powers that be there would agree. How do you feel about all that?
I mean, I just think this whole thing, I know there was a big deal with Stephanie. Stephanie went to NXT, eventually in WWE, because, I know AEW was hoping to get their hands on her. And I just think yes. And yes. And I think it's going to be like an undeniable reality. There are a lot of people now that are in the business that grew up and they watched WWE, and that was kind of their initial love. And they've always had a dream and an aspiration of going to WWE and being a star there. So I understand it. And, I can't be critical of it. It is what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that will want to come to AEW to work and gain notoriety and gain enough overness and fame that they could do that, So I don't know. Is that something Mariah does? I guess we'll see. I have no idea what the actual facts of the matter are, but I do understand why there are so many people that do want to do that. I mean, and I don't even think that's a knock on AEW. I think that's just there's so many people that have had these dreams of being at WWE, and they really want to do it when it's all said and done. And one thing that I've even said, and I said this about the Bucks at one point, I almost wish the Bucks would get an opportunity to do that at some point and be in WWE, because I feel like WWE is a place you almost have to go to be considered like in the realm of one of the greatest of all time. And that isn't necessarily as a performer in the ring, just talking about your coverage of the promotions you've been in, because WWE is the oldest and longest and biggest promotion that there is. And I just feel like at the end of the day, WWE is the benchmark of pro wrestling. And that doesn't mean if you spend your entire career in Ring of Honor or AEW or TNA or whatever else, that you're not one of the best wrestlers, that you're not one of the greatest acts to ever do it. It just meant that you didn't go to all the big promotions. And that's the only reason I say that.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. Does that mean that someone didn't make it if they don't go to WWE? So it sounds like you're not of that belief necessarily.
No, it's not that they didn't make it. If you have gone somewhere that has television and you have been successful and you've got over and people like you, I mean, you have made it in theory. You know, Jeff and I, we just wanted to be, our goal was to be either the WCW or the WWF World Tag Team Champions one time. And if we did that, we could call it a career. That's all we ever wanted to do. We've said that, you know, ad nauseum. But obviously we exceeded that many times over. But I just think like the WWE is truly the benchmark in pro wrestling. And that's not a knock on AEW. AEW is great. They do a bit of a different product than WWE does. But WWE has such a long standing history and just so many amazing moments and spectacles that just people have grown up and just their emotional ties to WWE is something that's real strong, especially people that get into the business. I mean, sometimes it's different. There are people like, I love how Will Ospreay discovered TNA first, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he wanted to do TNA. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that?
I believe so. Yeah, that's what I've read before.
You know, so I mean, there are different things, and I think people who get into wrestling, whatever they grow up on, I think that is going to always have a very special place in their heart. And that's something they're going to be drawn to in many, many ways. And, you know, and until, you know, something is different, as of right now, WWE is still viewed as the number one promotion in the world and the biggest promotion in the world with, you know, the most history. And it's attractive for people, especially people who grew up loving WWE. They want to see themselves there and fulfill a dream.
Yeah, I understand that. The way I look at it, man, like if you want to grow up and you want to be a professional wrestler, the moment you have your first professional wrestling match, you've made it. And you get to decide how much further you want to take that. Like I knew I wanted to be on TV when I was younger. So the first night that I anchored on ABC 7, Fox 22 in Bangor, Maine, I made it. And I could have quit that night, Matt, and I still would have made it, you know? So I think that with a lot of wrestlers, most wrestlers are never going to make it to WWE. But I think there's a lot of pride that someone can carry with themselves to be able to say that they accomplished what they set out to do and just even going for it and making their first dollar on the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you could say, you know, if you wrestle and you wrestle a match, I think you have maybe achieved the dream. I think to make it, you have to be able to work somewhere and like make a living for a year, make a career in wrestling, make sure it's paying your bills to say that you have made it. That's almost how
I get that. I don't know. I'm a big believer in if you say that you want to do something one day, and even if you get a taste of that, I think there's a lot of pride to be had.
Yeah, I mean that's achieving the dream, no doubt.
Yeah. So certainly. So look, man, it is really hard reaching that stage. It's one of the most competitive industries that you possibly can find yourself trying to go after and chasing that dream. But no matter how hard it may be, you'll have no problem getting hard because you got BlueChew at your side on your professional wrestling journey or wherever you want to go in life. You can have better sex with BlueChew. BlueChew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. And starting now, BlueChew is offering a combo so strong, it's going to knock your socks off, your neighbor's socks off, and everyone around you. You're going to have to move towns with the amount of noise you're going to be making with BlueChew. Because BlueChew Max has arrived, and it combines the active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis into one chewable form. This combo acts fast, and yes, you better believe that it lasts. Guys, be ready when she needs it and get your first month of BlueChew absolutely free. Great sex is just a few clicks away. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you're going to receive your prescription within just days. BlueChew tablets are made in the United States, prepared and shipped directly to your door. And the best part, it is all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. It's right at your doorstep. Matt, you got all this traveling that you're doing right now. It's going to be a long time away from the family. I got a feeling once you step home, kids go to bed, maybe a BlueChew could be in your future.
You know, I used to say, you don't understand how hard it is to be Matt Hardy, but maybe I'll tweak it a little bit. You don't understand how hard you get with BlueChew. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Oh, a little homage to your favorite Olympic hero there too, huh? Well,
absolutely.
Well, I'm sure he's making his life easier by getting harder and discovering his options at BlueChew.com, so you should too. And we got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of BlueChew absolutely free when you use promo code HARDY. Just pay $5 shipping. That's promo code HARDY, HARDY. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. All right, my friend, we are previewing WrestleMania 41, making our picks, our bold picks for the show of shows. But before we can, you know what I got to ask for? Please, Matt Hardy, hit us with your Sin City Matt Fact.
Matt Fact, Matt is heavily inspired by Chris Bay.
Chris Bay existing to inspire in his own right, making tremendous strides. How good did it feel to see him?
It was incredible. It was incredible to see him upright and walking and moving on his own. And he'd already said, whenever this whole thing came to be, his goal, by the time Unbreakable was here, and he knew we were doing some sort of special show for him because we're in his hometown of Las Vegas, his whole goal was to actually be on a walker whenever he rolled in here. But he was not on a walker. You know, he actually walked in here on his own 2 feet. So, yeah, what an inspiring guy. The fact that he has been so positive and so optimistic, and you know, he fought an uphill battle because there were doctors telling him that he had a 15 to 20% chance of walking again, and he hung in there. He kept doing his therapy. He believed, and he made this thing happen.
Yeah, man, the speed at which he's done it too is remarkable. It's absolutely incredible to see.
I mean, he is so far ahead of the curve of what they expected, and just to be around him and to have him walk into the room, and the crowd gave him an amazing reaction this morning, and to hear words from him, and just his optimism is just off the chart, and just everything he says, the things he does. His acts and just the love that is in the room when Chris Bay is there. It's unspeakable. It's crazy how beloved this man is, and how much love you feel that is just radiating from him.
Love to hear that. That's amazing. And I hope he continues to progress. Yes. And I'm glad that he's loved by so many people, because that is exactly what he deserves. And we need a little more of that these days in this world.
And
so
there's one thing I want to say. There was someone who actually stood up in the crowd and asked a question to us, because we did a Q&A for about an hour. And he just said, I was in a bad car accident about a week after the whole thing happened with Chris Bay. And he said Chris Bay being in there and doing rehabilitation, and, you know, people was saying, you know, Chris Bay said he's going to walk regardless. He's going to make it happen. He's going to push through. He's going to push through. And this guy said as his journey went on and he continued to get better, it continued to motivate him. And he kind of tried to run a parallel position as Chris. Like, I know I got messed up and I'm hurt, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to believe that I can overcome and get better. And he has been doing that as well. And he just took so much inspiration and pride from Chris Bay, and that was something that really moved me this morning, that story.
Very much existing to inspire. Congrats to Chris on all the strides he's made, and excited to see more of him in the future. So, all right, dude, let's talk the show of shows, WrestleMania 41. Let's start with this. Now that we've had a year to ruminate on this, I'm sure that was a word that was spoken a lot at the compound over the years. Now we've had a year to ruminate on this. Where do you think WrestleMania 40 last year stands in terms of overall greatest or worst WrestleManias of all time?
I thought it was a strong WrestleMania. I thought the offering of both nights were really good, and I just think this Cody finishing the story, that became such a theme of WrestleMania in general, and it kind of grew legs of its own, and like came to life, and it being fulfilled was pretty massive. I think it's amazing that people stuck with Cody for that whole while, and they followed through the journey, and then he won, and he became bigger than ever. He really had to bust his ass to get back to that point, and he's been remarkable over the last year as the face of the WWE. So I think it was a huge success. And just while we're talking about that, I know that was in the top 10 of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. But I just wanted to mention that TLC 2 was ranked 7 in the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. So I guess there wasn't any other tag team match in the top 10. I guess we're the greatest WrestleMania tag team match of all time, at least.
That's what the sheets are saying. The sheets and the streets are saying. Yeah. There were some there were some questionable choices on that list, but I can't disagree with TLC 2 being a top 10 greatest WrestleMania match of all time. It certainly is up there in terms of its impact and the resonance that it has had. So I was happy to see it on there in that form, and very, very happy.
Were we talking about on here that Shawn Michaels Undertaker match? That was my guess for the number one. Was that on here?
That was number one, yes.
Yeah, no, but I was saying, because I said that.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on here. Mm-hmm.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. We just did a tape study of that match over on WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com if anyone wants to check that out on demand. It was fun to go watch that match back because it really was a match that set a foundation for a lot of the modern wrestling that we see in the United States these days. And it almost was kind of a predecessor to a lot of those New Japan matches that started to cross over and get over in the US too. I'm not saying they were watching that match, but it has a lot of similarities to Okada Omega in ways. And it's very interesting. So we broke that down on WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com. Go check that out. WrestleMania 40, man, I got to tell you, I think now that we're a year out, it really does feel like this was one of the stronger WrestleManias of all time. And I'd say probably a top 5 WrestleMania, in my opinion, honestly. So when you have that, there's going to be a really difficult follow-up, right? Like there's a lot of pressure to live up to a show that was very strong. And WrestleMania 39 a couple years ago was a very strong show. So putting all those things together and having to create a big card coming out of it, I guess we're going to talk about how they actually did here and what we're looking at. So I do forewarn, Matt and I are taping this episode on Thursday. It is very possible that matches are added to the card or things are changed on the card or announced on the card as we drop this. So we do apologize if any of that has happened, but we're going to make some picks on this card right now and talk a little bit about how it all came together. And let's start with day one, man. The sheets are suggesting that Gunther and Jey Uso are going to be opening up night one for the World Championship. You got a lot of love for Jey Uso. I got a lot of love for Gunther. What are you expecting out of this match?
I think it will be a solid match. I think Gunther's a really talented heel. He's a talented wrestler, but I think he's very good in the role of the bad guy. I love him as the villain. Jey Uso does have a great aura. People are emotionally connected to him. And I think this is going to be a good match. I think it's going to be better than most people expect, because I know there's been a lot of criticism on Jey Uso recently. And I feel like I am going to go with a Jey Uso win in this. And I don't know if he's going to have a long reign or not, but I think they feel like they have a chance to really set and establish a guy who the people have a deep emotional connection with. And I think they're going to try and do that with Jey Uso here.
Do you think this is all about a moment here and giving Jey that WrestleMania moment with the 60-something thousand people doing the yeet all behind him?
Yes.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you. I think that's how they want to set the tone for the show. And listen, man, regardless of what you think about Jey Uso, I think we can both agree that there is some sort of connection between he and the audience in a pretty significant way. And that's really all that matters at the end of the day. Right. I think Gunther is going to give him one hell of a match. He's going to do his absolute best to make Jey Uso come across as the biggest star in the world on night one, and I hope for their sake that it does come across that way. I do also agree with you. I think Jey Uso will win the World Championship. But then it also becomes, Matt, what's next? And how do you follow that up? And where do you go with it? And, should Jey Uso win this championship, how would you like to see Jey approach a potential title reign? Trying to make that jump from a singles guy, from a tag guy rather, to a singles champion.
I mean, I personally would like to see them put him in a role where he can sink his teeth into it and seem like a credible singles competitor, a credible singles champion, and just give him the opportunity to, to run with the ball. And then you see how he does. Either it gets over and it works and you can roll with it, or if it doesn't, I mean, there's always a ton of things for him to fall back on. There'll be a point in time, obviously, where the Usos will be reunited and they'll have great runs too. Jeff and I, we've done that 3-4 times now, I guess. But I would love to see them try and give Jay a pretty fair shake, a pretty fair shot at like trying to be a credible champion and see what kind of mileage they can get out of it, and if it's not working, then you just move on to the next area trying to build.
What would be an unbelievably captivating story should they choose to go this route if Jay wins? Sami Zayn winning some sort of a number one contenders match, and Sammy as a babyface and Jay as a babyface, but Sammy's still wanting to beat his guy, and I think that could be a really compelling story to tell at some point between those two.
Well, they've got a great history, so that obviously helps. They've got a great history building.
Certainly so. Or maybe one day Roman is challenging Jay. Who's to say where they end up going with that? Let's keep going here. We've got, you spoke pretty high about Jacob Fatu last week. He's facing LA Knight for the WWE United States Championship. I know you like both guys, but I agree with you that Fatu's got an enormously high ceiling, and I don't know about you, but this to me just feels like an opportunity to elevate Jacob Fatu in a big way and have him win a championship at WrestleMania. What say you?
Yeah, I think this is going to be Jacob Fatu's time. I think this is a start. And I noticed even some of the feedback I read online. Of course, it's the internet, so of course the internet, it's always correct. But, people are like, oh, my God, he's already got the promos down. He's got the character down, this, that, and the other thing. Once again, all these things will continue to be refined until he is looked at as a legitimate star, a legitimate top-tier act. And I think this is where the process maybe even kind of begins and kicks off for him. They've been teasing it already. He's been doing a lot of stuff. They've been focusing him in single scenarios, really highlighting him as a star on his own. He's been given a bunch of great moments as it is. But I think this will be his opportunity to win the U.S. title. And I think they will try to once again, keep elevating him and keep slowly sneaking him up the card and hoping that the emotional connection into him and his character and what he's doing as a singles competitor continues to grow, much like Jey Uso's has over the last couple of years.
I didn't take anything you said as criticism of him. I'm surprised to hear that people took it that way, because I thought you were just giving him construct of what he will need in order to become the top star that you believe he can become. And I totally agree with you on it too. I think LA Knight won the U.S. Championship from Shinsuke Nakamura as just kind of a way to pivot things to having a heel go over at WrestleMania. So that seems to be where we're headed. And look, Jacob Fatu, man, he's a workhorse. He works his ass off, and he's fantastic. So LA Knight had an awesome moment last year at SummerSlam being Logan Paul for that title. Now it's time for Jacob Fatu to have a great moment as well. Let's keep going here. We got a championship you're very familiar with, the Tag Team Championship, the World Tag Team Championship. Is the War Raiders against the New Day. What have you thought about the New Day's run as heels and their booking, particularly since they turned heel back at the end of the year?
Especially after the stuff with Big E, I was able to follow a lot of that, and I really enjoyed it, especially from Kofi, because Kofi has never been in like a hardcore villain role. So I really enjoy the stuff Kofi's been doing. Xavier Woods, I know he totally has that in him. He's all good with it through and through, but I think they have been great together. And I think the fans were very accepting of how they betrayed and how they, their traitorous actions with Big E, how they were brothers as the New Day, and they they booted him out and had no sympathy for him. I thought that was a great way to kickstart their run as bad guys. And I like everything they've done. I haven't followed everything they've done recently as close, but I'm a fan of how they got to where they are currently.
Yeah, I have not actually enjoyed at all how they've been booked on TV per se. If you want to go by the traditional definition, I do like who they are as characters and what they did, but I don't feel that they have been portrayed in a way that has given equity to how great their turn was, because their turn was fantastic when that all happened with Biggie, and it was very unexpected too, and where they were leading with that. I just felt like this match was kind of thrown together in the last couple weeks before WrestleMania. But with that said, it's a good opportunity to remind everyone how good they are and show everyone what they're capable of doing. It's been years since the New Day were tag champs, which is kind of crazy to think about. It's been a real, despite how many historic runs they've had. I'm a big fan of the War Raiders. I don't think we've ever really talked about the War Raiders. What are your thoughts on them?
I like them. I like both guys, personally and professionally. I know we had a chance where Jeff and I wrestled those guys, and Jim Cornette did commentary at an indie show in Oklahoma at one point, which was a very big indie show with a big budget, which was very funny. We were doing Broken Matt and Brother Nero at that time too. It's funny, Broken Matt, Jim Cornette ate a Broken Matt punch off the apron. Also, he was very happy to do it. But we enjoyed working with those guys. I worked with them too on some indies that they did in Northeast Wrestling for Michael Lombardi, Mike O'Brien. I like both those guys, and I like the fact that they're still hanging in there. I like the fact they're both healthy and able to wrestle now, because they both suffered some injuries throughout the years. Yeah, but I enjoy them. I enjoy them as a team.
Super athletic, big guys, and I really enjoy watching them as well. Who wins this match, Matt?
I'm going to have to go with the New Day on this one.
I'm going with the New Day as well. I think they get back on the saddle as champions and get a little run out of that. Let's keep going here. We've got Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, which the sheets and the streets would have you believe in is actually Chad Gable under a mask. Unconventional way for Chad Gable to get his WrestleMania singles match, but alas, here he is. And Rey Mysterio, man, all these years later, still going at the level that he's going at is pretty freaking fantastic. But it's an interesting bout on paper, you know? I mean, what do you see playing out here? Because I think both guys could benefit from a win.
Yes, they truly could. You know, and this is one thing too. I'll have to say, El Grande Americano. I haven't watched a lot of. How are the people currently reacting to him?
It's very wink and a nod. We know who it is, but I mean, it's over. It's getting over, and how can it not? I mean, Chad Gable is one of the best, well-rounded performers in all wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, the bit does seem like a wink and a nod, and it's kind of fun in some ways. So I am very happy that Chad Gable is getting this opportunity. And I think there's even a way, you know, once this masquerade eventually ends and he comes back to being Chad Gable, this is going to be something that he's looked at as being very entertaining, I think, throughout this process. So I think this is going to be a very interesting match, and I, in theory, could see it going either way. But I would say, upon looking at this, of the two and their mindset, I would almost guess that you have El Grande Americano winning this, just because he would need it more than Rey Mysterio.
Sure. I would agree with you on that front as well, and see what ends up coming from the two of them. I love Chad Gable. I thought it should have been him last year facing Gunther at WrestleMania. Not upset that it ended up being Sami Zayn, but felt like he was deserving of that moment. So at least he's getting a singles match on this card, assuming it is Chad Gable. That's what people would.
Who knows? It may or may not be.
I'm going with him as well. Let's do Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I know, Matt Hardy, you love some good character work. I think Naomi has just been doing some fantastic character work since she turned heel. Some of the best work of her entire career, in fact. Seeing her come into her own has been really, really cool. This is a match that they've been building for a very long time. They did the injury angle back over the winter. Jade Cargill and Naomi ran together with Bianca Belair dating back to last year's WrestleMania. What do you think about these long-term stories coming to fruition here? It's a nice, fresh thing, I feel like, to see in wrestling.
I dig it. I'm a big fan of it. I feel like whenever you do these stories that are more long-term, especially if it's something that is pieced together and plotted out and it flows and there's continuity, I think a lot of times if you put a great investment and the people are following it and they get into it, then I think you get a much better payoff when a match eventually does happen.
Who takes the win here?
With this one, I'm going to have to go with Naomi. I think we're
really
we're
wow, interesting.
Yeah, I almost feel that you're going to have a Naomi win here because I feel like now that she is a newly turned heel, I think they were going to want to keep up that momentum.
Interesting. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is like Jade Cargill's first true big singles match in WWE. And I mean, the whole story was Naomi blindsiding her and taking her out and costing her months of her career. You think Naomi wins the match? I'll say this. If Vince was booking, Naomi would absolutely win this match. There's no questions in my mind. There's even parallels to you here in your story with Jeff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just think this is setting up Jade Cargill to get a big babyface moment at WrestleMania. But I mean, I wouldn't hate the little swerve if they did have Naomi win.
I almost feel like you have Naomi wins here, and then the story continues, and then we build to a bigger another match that ends up being the big payoff,
like a stip match sort of thing.
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay,
that would be my guess.
Okay, all right. That would definitely be the Vince approach to this. So I'm curious if that's what ends up coming through it. A match that has had a lot of personal stakes added in the most recent weeks. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. This was a match a lot of people wanted to see for a long time, Matt. Kind of lost a little bit of steam, but then in recent weeks became very personal. How do you see this one playing out? Who walks away between the young gun Tiffany Stratton and the vet, the queen, Charlotte Flair?
This is another really interesting match. I mean, I can see a great case for both ladies winning. If you have Tiffany Stratton beat Charlotte Flair, which is one of the greatest women's champion ever in WWE, I mean, it kind of cements her status as being a top girl, and you feel like you build a new superstar of the highest level. But with that same thing being said, you have Charlotte returning, and you want to keep her return hot, and you want to keep her doing what she's doing, even if that ends up with her being a heel and going down that road, being a bad guy, because she hasn't been perceived necessarily as most people would have suspected she would have been received by the audience right from the jump. I feel like upon thinking about this, it's almost like the Jade Cargill Naomi thing. I can see a reason for both people winning. But I feel like they're going to continue. I think on this one, Charlotte Flair ends up taking the win and the title, just as they continue building the momentum of her since she has returned to WWE.
It's interesting because Tiffany hasn't been booked as like a traditional babyface. She doesn't do all of these babyface things per se that you would associate with a babyface character. And the crowd, when Charlotte came back, I think Charlotte was probably intended to be more of the babyface in this feud, but it just hasn't landed that way. I'd like to see those roles a little more cemented cleanly in this match, and maybe they can tell that story over this match. I hope they're both athletic freaks, the two of them, right? So I hope that it's a very strong in-ring match. I think it will be. I tend to agree with you. I think Charlotte's actually going to win here, and that's going to lead to a lot of people throwing fingers around and of course, Charlotte won again. But honestly, Matt, if I were them, I'd lean into that. I'd lean into Charlotte becoming inevitable. Becoming the LOL Cena wins sort of thing and telling stories off of that. I think that could lead to something very productive down the line.
I mean, there's a path to a great character and persona if you go that route too.
I certainly believe that to be the case. All right. Main event, controversial main event here, Matt Hardy. It is Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. Paul Heyman will be in CM Punk's corner, for this match. I say it's a little controversial because, for me, despite their star power, and there's a tremendous amount of star power in this match, I don't really believe that this match has a ton of stakes. And if it's a WrestleMania main event, you would want it to have some stakes. The people are saying, well, the stakes are, who does Paul Heyman leave with? And that's the story they're telling in building this match. But is that not a story you could just tell on regular TV? You know, think of it this way. Regardless of who wins this match, is anyone set up any differently going forward after this match takes place? Seth Rollins said that this match is for the future of WWE. I'm not really sure how that's the case without there being any stakes. No one is closer to the world championship coming out of this match, regardless of who wins. So it hasn't really connected with me, but I will say it is up in the air as to who actually wins. How do you see this one playing out, my friend?
I mean, obviously, I feel like the story they are really zoning in on is just who is Paul Heyman going to choose? And of the people obviously involved, he's got a history with Punk. He's got an obvious great history with Roman as well. And there's been some good controversy in between that. And I think that's what they are trying to get everyone locked into so they're mentally invested in this story. And I feel like if you win the match, you're a number one contender to the title, or you get a shot at SummerSlam or whatever, maybe those stakes could help what you're saying. But I think they're just trying to paint the picture like whoever wins this match is so big between three of the top stars and the greatest champions of all time. This match is so big. Whoever wins, it's inevitable he's going to get a title shot and move on to the world title. So that's what I feel like they're trying to paint, roughly, without saying that. And I don't know if there's a specific reason they're going that route. There may be whenever we watch the match and we see this story they're trying to tell whenever they do this. But the interest of who is Paul Heyman going to side with, who is he going to choose, is very interesting. And I know there's conspiracy theories. You know, what if it is Seth Rollins? He ends up walking out with him, whatever. And I'm not sure 100% of what he is going to do. And I think it's cool that, you know, for the longest time Punk said he wanted to be the main event of WrestleMania, own in the last match. And I think that fact that he has stated it so many times, I think that helps this match as well. And he's actually in that last match. I love the fact that Paul Heyman presented him with that and they tried to make it an emotional moment. I feel like they want to move Roman Reigns back into the spotlight, back into like the main story of what's going on. And I think in this match, there's going to be some sort of funny business with Paul Heyman. Not sure which direction he's going to go, but I think Roman Reigns is going to end up ultimately winning this match.
Interesting. So you would have to think whoever wins this match, that's where Paul Heyman's going to end up going, though.
Yeah.
So you think he ends up back with Roman Reigns here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there could. I mean, he could end up with someone that did not win this match too. I think that is a possibility.
I'll tell you. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts. Sorry.
No, I just feel like with what they've done, you know, we've had Roman where he dropped the title last year to Cody, and he's had a year. You know, he's been a part-time guy, whatever maybe, but he's a huge component of WWE in general and the WWE storytelling process. And I feel like this is going to be a catapult. And if it's not for Roman, it will be for either Punk or Seth Rollins. But I feel like it's going to be a catapult to kind of move him back into the scene and get a conversation again about him being the champion.
Interesting. I think Seth Rollins is going to win this match. I think Paul Heyman's going to leave with him. And do I think Seth Rollins needs Paul Heyman? Not necessarily. But I think Paul Heyman is going to be used as a catalyst to turn Seth Rollins. And Seth becomes a top heel on the TV show going forward, I believe, is the route that this ultimately ends up going. Maybe he goes after Jey Uso coming after this. I'm not really entirely sure, but yes, Seth Rollins, for as prolific as his career's been, he doesn't win a lot of big matches these days. So seeing him actually win a big match, and his character, the whole thing is like, I've been right about all of this stuff, and none of you listen to me. Sounds pretty familiar to what they did with Drew McIntyre, doesn't it? You know, so we'll see where that ends up going. That does it for night one. But before we can get into Matt, if we get into night two, Matt, I want to go back in time with you here for a quick second. Growing up on the Hardy compound, the legend, he had you doing a lot of yard work, right?
Yard work all the time, nonstop.
All the time.
It would be do the yard work or get the belt.
Probably didn't have the most comfortable shoes of all time while you were out there in the mud, right?
We were rocking it in sneakers. No, it was not the best shoes to be utilizing in the mud.
Well, thankfully, these days you're keeping comfortable when you're doing all that yard work back there. You're out there enjoying recreational Cameron, North Carolina, because you and us here at the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy have teamed up with Brunt. And man, these are fantastic boots. I want to know, Matt, what was it like back in the day when you wear those boots that probably had holes in them? How frustrating was it actually trying to get yard work done out there?
It would be tricky, especially whenever we were helping convert the swamp over near Jeff's house at the Imagination into Lake Legend, which was our dad's dream. He wanted to have a lake on the property, and we expedited that, made it happen. And we were very hands-on in the process as well. We had some people working with us, but we were rocking boots there, but they were not of the quality of the Brunt boots. I got to tell you, my Brunt boots that I have, I love them so much. And if I had to do that again, where we were starting with that swamp and digging it out to build Lake Legend, I would be wearing my Brunts every single day.
You ordered the Omen work boot, and they're considered to be extremely lightweight. They're water resistant. They're slip and oil resistant. They're heat resistant, electrical hazard rated. And most importantly, Matt, these things are, and I'm being very serious here because I ordered them too, they're like just as comfortable as sneakers, which is amazing for a work boot.
Yes, they are. They are more comfortable than sneakers. I love the fact that they go on the particular boots I got, they slide on, and then they totally like embrace your foot and your ankle. They have ankle support. They have great support of your heel. They have great support for all of your foot, the toes. These boots are great. I can't wear them enough. And on top of that, I like to keep them clean as I possibly can after working in them, because I like to rock them with my camouflage pants as well. They look like $1 million.
There you go. There you go. Well, Brunt isn't just about work boots, actually. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs, from heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets. Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any condition. And Brunt knows they got the best boots on the planet, so they'll let you try any of their products on the job absolutely risk-free. All of Brunt's boots carry the names of real workers in the trades who test them and inspire them. You see, Brunt didn't just make a durable work boot. They reinvented comfort for the hardest workers out there. And for a limited time, our listeners are going to get $10 off of Brunt by using code HARDY, HARDY, at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com and use code HARDY, and you're all set. Even better, Brunt lets you try all their products on the job risk-free. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them, and that's where you tell them the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy sent you, and we appreciate Brunt for sponsoring this edition of the Extreme Life. All right, my friend, let's get on the home stretch here. We are on to day 2. Again, the streets and the sheets suggesting that Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley are going to open this thing up in a triple threat for the Women's World Championship. I am extremely excited for this match. For my money, I think this is going to be the best in-ring match of WrestleMania. These are 3 bona fide stars, and they've added a lot of equity to Io Sky over the course of the past few months. Rhea Ripley is one of the biggest stars WWE has. Bianca Belair is Miss WrestleMania. It's a tough one to call, my friend. Who do you see walking out?
This is a tough one to call. This is very, very challenging to call. I don't know. We had a couple. How long has it been since the current champ won the title?
Io Sky won the belt about a month and a half ago.
Okay, yeah. Because I know they like to invest in championships and in reigns a little more than they used to back in the day. So if we're 6 weeks out, I could still see something happening when it's all said and done. I could see Sky retaining. I could also see Rhea winning this.
I could see all 3 of them winning this match.
I mean, I could too, for what it's worth, no doubt. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make a move, and I'm gonna make a decision and go a direction, go down a path. Just because Rhea is the big star that she is right now, I'm gonna say Rhea Ripley ends up winning this match.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, Rhea gets the big time reactions. Io does too, and so does Bianca Belair. Right. They've been a little booish towards Bianca Belair lately, which is interesting. I'm going to say Bianca wins the belt here. It's been a while since we've seen her as a world champion, and she's a big top star in WWE as well. And maybe it spurns a little bit of a character change for her too in the process. But if you were to tell me that any 3 of these were to walk away, I would not disagree with you. I could easily see Io Sky retaining as well. This match was reportedly originally going to be just Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, so I tend to think one of them is going to leave with it. But plans change, pal, don't they?
They do, yes. Asterisk, card subjects to change. Plans subject to change.
Certainly the case. Fatal 4-way, because this is multi-man mania. Braun Breaker, the Intercontinental Champion, versus Penta, versus Finn Balor, versus Dominic Mysterio. Penta making his WrestleMania debut. I know you got a lot of love for Penta, so I'm sure it's a pretty cool moment there. Who walks away with the Intercontinental Championship?
There's a couple guys I could have a case for in this. But now, when it's all said and done, especially just there was so much momentum behind that big spear, right? That Braun did to Carlito.
The Carlito spear. Ooh.
Carlito spear. That was everywhere. And there's just so much momentum behind Braun Breaker now. I feel like they're going to keep following up on that momentum. And I think in this match, Braun Breaker is going to win. Although I will say this, it wouldn't surprise me if a Dominic Mysterio wins too. He is someone that I could possibly see winning this match as well.
I think Dominic Mysterio is winning this match. I don't believe that Braun Breaker is going to take a pin. I do think Dominic Mysterio will eat the big spear in this match.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't hate if they pulled like a good old 2000 Kurt Angle thing where Dom dies in this match taking a spear and just somehow crawls over and makes a cover. Maybe he even gets speared into a cover. Who knows? And Dom ends up winning this championship. My gut says he probably steals the win by pinning Finn Balor, his Judgment Day teammate. And the reason I think that Braun Breaker loses, Matt, is because I believe that 2025 is going to be a very big year for Braun Breaker. And I think that we're going to probably see Braun Breaker win Money in the Bank this year. So I've taken the Intercontinental Championship off him and then moving him into the world title picture. I believe that's probably the path that he goes.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that as well. I just know he has so much momentum on his side right now. There's a part of me that feels like they're going to run out this Intercontinental title reign a little bit longer before he.
Well, he doesn't got to get pinned in this match, so that is one way that he could lose the belt without losing.
Very true.
So they did give themselves an out on that part. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight. I actually have enjoyed this feud. I think it's been pretty good.
Right.
Two guys who you got a lot of love for too, especially Drew. And one thing we know about both of them, they're not afraid to beat the piss out of each other. And there's not a lot of these matches on this WrestleMania card. So I think having a street fight here could really benefit the two of them. Who walks away with a win?
I got to tell you, man, I do. I really enjoy both guys' work. I think both guys are tremendous. And this is going to be cool that this match is going down on WrestleMania, especially with their history together. I think in this one, I've got to go with Drew McIntyre. I feel like he is the guy who could really capitalize on a big win here and hopefully move back into the main event picture and continue to do what he's doing on the highest level.
Does the stipulation help the match here?
It's called a Sin City street fight.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
It would. I mean, it will obviously allow them to do some really different and creative things. I don't think it hurts the match, in my opinion. I'm sure they'll give some great wrestling. They'll do some great stuff just within the ring during the course of this match, but then they'll be able to do some tomfoolery outside the ring, and they'll be able to do a couple of really wild and crazy things, which always I think is beneficial in a match like that.
Hoping for a good callback to last year's cash-in from Damian Priest here, but he got the moment over Drew McIntyre last year. I think Drew McIntyre gets the moment back this year, and Drew's deserving of a nice WrestleMania win here. So let's see how that one ends up playing out. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I have not loved the build to this. I'm sure you haven't had a chance to see a ton of it. I really haven't enjoyed the program, quite frankly, Matt. But right. I do expect the match will probably deliver and be pretty good. Does Logan Paul get the rub from your old friend AJ Styles here, or does the vet walk away with one over the cocky young heel?
This one's going to be real interesting. I do feel it is going to be very strong, very solid. I do know the producer in charge of this match is most likely going to be Shane Helms. He is a big Logan Paul guy. He's assigned to most everything he does. So I have a lot of confidence that Shane is going to be on top of this, and they are going to have a great match when it's all said and done. I can see this one going both ways too, where I'm just going to have to really suck it up and make it a hard call here. I would say in this, just because Logan Paul, as he's kind of a bit of a novelty act, where he's not there every single time and he's not like a full-time guy, I feel like he'll probably end up getting the win in this deal.
I think it's more likely Logan Paul wins, but I'd like to see AJ Styles get a nice WrestleMania win here. He hasn't had a ton of them, so I'd like to see him get one. And I don't think Logan Paul is hurt. I don't think Logan Paul's hurt by a loss to AJ Styles by any stretch of the imagination.
No. Not at all. No one is hurt by a loss to AJ Styles, no doubt. I mean, if they go out and have a great match, then everybody can still win, regardless. So that just what my gut tells me at the end of the day, we'll probably end up seeing some sort of Logan Paul win.
Yep. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. This one was just added. This is for the Women's Tag Team Championship. I know you probably haven't had a ton of chances to see a lot of the work going on here. Bayley, someone consummate pro, one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. Lyra Valkyria, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, on the rise here. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez have been doing strong work together in the Judgment Day. Yes. I ultimately believe that the champs retain, and it leads to a little heat between Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and maybe they go back to having a little bit of a program coming out of that. Anything you'd like to add on this match and make a pick for us here?
That's the exact scenario. That's the direction I would see this match going. I see Liv and Raquel retaining.
Yep, and I think Liv Morgan's been doing some pretty good work over the course of the last year. So pretty high expectations for this match to deliver.
She's been killing it with Dominic.
Love to hear that. A match that we don't know is going to happen, Matt. Randy Orton was supposed to face Kevin Owens on this show, but that's off. Kevin Owens' neck injury, as we discussed last week, it's not happening. So they are insinuating that Randy Orton will have a match on this show. They teased it maybe being Nick Aldis. They teased it maybe being Solo Sikoa. Is that a red herring? Let's talk about it. Who do you see Randy Orton facing at this show? Because I got a couple ideas.
I don't want to stooge it off, but it's going to be Jeff Hardy. I'm going to revisit.
He's kidding, Dirt Sheets. He's kidding.
Hey, I may or may not have been making a joke. Don't hold me to it. So, I would guess if those guys were teased so strongly that they would probably be red herrings. Who will it ultimately be? I don't know. It could be one of those guys. Who do you think? What I? All right. Once again, I am not up currently on everything that's been going on.
Sure. Well, I don't think you even really have to be, honestly. I have a couple ways I could see it going. I could see it being either Solo Sikoa or Nick Aldis. I think it'd be pretty cool if it was Nick Aldis, honestly, just to see him get a WrestleMania match. That'd be pretty fun. Sure. I'm not particularly excited by a Solo Sikoa Randy Orton match, honestly. No disrespect to either of them. It's just not something that I feel super earned. I think, Matt, this would be the perfect time to return either Rusev or Aleister Black. And both of them are rumored to have signed with WWE.
Right.
And honestly, while I suspect it might be Aleister Black a little more than Rusev, how great would it be if you told this story of Rusev coming back as a big bad heel and he breaks Randy Orton's back, the surgically repaired back, by putting the Accolade on him and setting him up on a monster run as a big-time heel? Be a hell of a WrestleMania moment, wouldn't it?
It'd be a hell of a WrestleMania moment, no doubt. I don't know if I would necessarily see that happening, but that would be interesting, especially to build him and make him as a heel. That would make him as a heel without a doubt. That'd be great. Aleister Black, I feel like, would probably get the call before Rusev would, whenever they're doing that. but those are both very intriguing, and those are two guys I would be very interested in seeing face Randy, especially as a surprise return. It'd be a great moment. Whoever it was, it would really make them, especially a win over a Randy Orton would really put an exclamation point on that statement.
And they'd be fresh matches and fresh opponents, so that could be something too. And then, all right, let's wrap up here, man.
Right.
The match that we've spent a lot of time dedicated to, that everyone wants to know. This is the headlining match of WrestleMania, the main event of all main events here. Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against John Cena, heel John Cena. What are your expectations for the match, and who walks away?
I think they're going to have a great match. I think when it's all said and done, I think Cody is going to manifest this into a great match. I think Cena is going to be there with his working shoes on. I think he's going to bust his ass, and he really is. It's important to him to cement his legacy as one of the GOATs, one of the greatest to ever do this. So I think it's going to be a great match, and I think when it's all said and done, I think John Cena is going to get his hand raised, and I think he is going to break Ric Flair's championship reigns and be the 17-time world champion. And then we're going to start on a great story for Cody to Cody to come get back his title.
What kind of match do you think they're going to have?
I think it's going to be where lax rules. I think a little bit of whatever goes. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a match where Cena is probably in his element. You know what I mean? Where it's not like going to be some great technical masterpiece, whatever. I think he's going to be a great heel who backs down, and is a real shit heel, as they say. And then I just think they'll be able to use stuff onto the announce table or this or that, or maybe out into the crowd or whatever else. I would imagine there'll be some bells and whistles in this, and there'll be kind of lax rules.
Do you see The Rock involved?
I would imagine The Rock will appear, and he will have some sort. There'll be an appearance in this match, and he will lead to whatever ultimately ends up happening in this match.
Interesting. I asked what type of match you think they're going to have because I'm standing by my prediction that I made months ago here, dating back to probably October or November. I think they're just going to have Rock Hogan too. I think that's exactly the kind of match that they're going to lay out. Cody has high affinity for that. There's going to be a lot of aura-ing, as I say, where it's just
there'll be a ton of aura around that match, no doubt.
And there's gonna be a lot of. They might even do the whole Rock Hogan spot where they look both ways. The crowd's going nuts. And do you see Cena getting cheered in a lot of this match, and the crowd maybe turning on Cody a little bit?
I don't think the crowd will turn on Cody. Okay. I don't think they will. I may be wrong.
I do think they'll cheer Cena. I do think they're going to cheer Cena.
I think Cena is going to get a polarizing reaction. I think there's going to be a let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. I think Cena is going to stay in his lane as a heel and do everything he can to get the audience to boo him. And then I think Cody will be cheered throughout.
Okay. All right. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the crowd's going to boo Cody for some of the match. I don't think he's going to be booed the entire time, but I think there's going to be spots where maybe Cody's making a comeback and he's booed a little bit, or at least mixed responses. So we'll see. It's going to be weird seeing John Cena dominating a match, right? Like seeing him work, leading as the heel, getting the heat, because we haven't seen that in more than 20 years from John Cena. So that's going to work formulaically against him. So we'll find out how that goes. I'm with you. I think John Cena wins as well. The Rock very well could be involved. Travis Scott could even be involved with this. But I do believe that John Cena walks out as the world champion, and the year-long run for Cody Rhodes as world champion comes to an end. Next week, Matt Hardy and I are going to review WrestleMania 41, and we'll have all this to look back on, see how we did with our picks. Anything else you want to add about the show?
No, man, I'm excited. I get excited during WrestleMania season. There's always cool things going on around WrestleMania. Like I said, WrestleMania week is a celebration of the pro wrestling industry, and it's always a spectacle out here. There's just so much stuff going on. Everybody converges into one spot, and everybody in the pro wrestling industry is there, and you see so many people that you only see like once a year, I feel like. So it's a cool deal, man, and I'm excited for WrestleMania. There's still stuff that about WrestleMania in general. The Cena Cody match, I'm excited for. I'm very excited to see how it all goes down.
And you never know where the Hardy Boys will show up too. So that's something that
You
you'll
never
have to
know.
keep your eyes on. Anything can happen in the extreme life of Matt Hardy, as we always like to say.
Bingo.
So I encourage you to head on over to advertisewithhardy.com to promote your business to the extreme. Get out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week right here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. And as I said before, go to the Matt Hardy Brand YouTube page. Hit that subscribe button, leave likes, leave comments. We want to hear what you've got to say. We're going to get that thing rebooted a little bit in the coming weeks. I'm looking forward to doing so as well. My friend, I know you got a crazy schedule ahead. I hope it's a great WrestleMania weekend for you and Brother Nero. I'm excited to see how everything goes. Anything else you'd like to say to the Die Hardys?
Guys, get ready. We are going to go nuts in Vegas this weekend. And whatever appearance myself and Jeff are at, we hope to see you there.
Promise me one thing. You make time to get yourself a nice steak dinner in Vegas. Right?
I'll do my darndest.
Just not Outback for a change. Okay? Just for a change. Oh, boy. We got to get our boy Guga out there in Vegas for you. He'll cook you up a real nice meal and make all that happen. So the words have been spoken. We'll see you next time right here on The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
Done.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett, here to tell you a little bit about the nonstop savings happening over here at SaveWithConrad.com. Are high credit card balances holding you down on the card? If you're looking to give a guitar shot to your credit card debt or give your home the push it deserves with some upgrades and remodeling, you need to go to SaveWithConrad.com. That's right, SaveWithConrad.com. Conrad and his team are routinely helping my world listeners save $500, $600, $700, even $800 a month. Oh, did I mention you get to skip your next 2 house payments? Take a cue from the last outlaw, because if anybody knows how to get the bag, it's me. Strut on over to SaveWithConrad.com today and see how much money you can save for free. That's right, it's SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.